Welcome to Moments Between Us. Every story begins with a heartbeat.
Loving a ghost. When your husband's heart belongs to someone else, there's a special kind of heartbreak that comes from realizing your husband is in love with someone else. But there's an even worse kind, when that someone else lives in your house, sits at your dinner table every night, and happens to be married to his brother. Meet Elena Rodriguez. 27 years old, 9 months pregnant with her first child, and absolutely certain that her husband David is still in love with his college girlfriend. The girlfriend who's now her sister-in-law, the girlfriend who sleeps 3 doors down from their bedroom every single night. This isn't your typical affair story. Nobody's sneaking around, nobody's exchanging secret texts or meeting in hotel rooms, but in some ways what's happening is worse. Because David never got over Rebecca, and now fate, or maybe just bad luck, has brought them all under the same roof. Elena first noticed something was off about 3 months ago. Right after David's older brother Miguel brought Rebecca home as his new wife, suddenly, her usually lazy husband became Mr. Helpful. The guy who couldn't remember to take out the trash was now eagerly volunteering to help Rebecca with every little household task. "Babe, I made your favorite dinner," Elena would say. Thanks," David would mumble, eyes on his phone. But when Rebecca cooked, "This is incredible, Becca. You're an amazing cook. Right, Miguel? You're a lucky man." The praise was constant, excessive, uncomfortable. And Elena, with her growing belly and growing suspicions, started paying closer attention. That's when she caught him staring at Rebecca when he thought no one was looking. That's when she realized his smile was brighter around her. That's when she knew something was very, very wrong. And last Tuesday, Elena's worst fears were confirmed when she overheard a conversation that shattered her world completely. Let me paint you a picture of how Elena ended up in this nightmare scenario. Elena and David got married a 1.5 years ago. They were young, optimistic, and broke, like most couples starting out. David's mother, Carmen, offered them a solution: live in the family house temporarily while they saved up for their own place. It seemed perfect. Carmen had recently lost her husband and didn't want to live alone. David's older brother, Miguel, was already there, working as a physical therapist and saving money. "Why not all live together for a while? It's temporary," David promised Elena. "Just until we can afford a down payment." Elena agreed. She liked Carmen, who was warm and welcoming, and the house was big. A sprawling ranch-style home in suburban Phoenix, with enough space that they could have privacy. Her own mother lived 3 hours away in Tucson, so having family nearby when the baby came seemed like a blessing. For the first year, things were actually great. Elena got along wonderfully with Carmen. Miguel was quiet but friendly. David was, well, David, a bit lazy, a bit immature, but he loved her. Or so she thought. Then Miguel started dating Rebecca. They'd reconnected at their 10-year college reunion. Turns out they'd been study partners back at Arizona State, part of the same friend group. The relationship moved fast, engaged in 3 months, married in 6. And when they got married, Rebecca moved into the family house too. Elena was genuinely excited at first. Another woman close to her age in the house? Someone to talk to besides Carmen? She imagined late-night conversations, shopping trips, maybe even Rebecca helping with the baby when it arrived. What she didn't imagine was watching her husband fall all over himself trying to impress her new sister-in-law. The change in David was immediate and jarring. Before Rebecca moved in, getting David to help around the house was like pulling teeth. Elena would come home from her job at the elementary school, exhausted, swollen feet, back aching from pregnancy, to find David sprawled on the couch, gaming headset on, surrounded by empty energy drink cans. "Can you at least start dinner?" she'd ask. "In a minute, babe. I'm in the middle of a raid." That minute never came. Elena would haul her pregnant body into the kitchen and cook dinner herself, while David shouted at his screen about enemy players. But the day after Rebecca moved in, David transformed into a different person. Elena came home to find him actually folding laundry, voluntarily, without being asked. What's happening right now?" Elena joked. "Did you hit your head?" David grinned. "Just thought I'd help out. Rebecca's been doing so much around here. Figured I should pitch in too." Rebecca. Not help you. Not because you're pregnant and tired. Because Rebecca was doing housework and David suddenly cared. It got worse from there. Every meal Rebecca cooked, David raved about. "This chicken is phenomenal, Becca. Where'd you learn to cook like this?" Meanwhile, Elena had been making David's favorite green chile enchiladas for a year and a half, and the most enthusiastic response she'd ever gotten was, "Pretty good." When Rebecca bought new throw pillows for the living room, David called them classy and tasteful. When Elena had bought similar pillows months earlier, he'd complained about wasting money on stuff we don't need. The comparisons started too. One night, after Rebecca had laughed at one of Miguel's jokes, really laughed, that genuine delighted sound, David turned to Elena and said, "See? That's nice. Rebecca appreciates Miguel. You could learn something from that, Elena." Felt like she'd been slapped. Elena might have chalked it all up to paranoia, pregnancy, hormones making her crazy, except for what Carmen told her one afternoon over coffee. They were sitting on the back patio, watching the sunset paint the desert sky in shades of orange and pink. Carmen was knitting a baby blanket, and Elena was trying not to feel jealous that Rebecca was inside helping Miguel prep for a work presentation while she sat uselessly, too pregnant to do much of anything. "I'm so glad Miguel found Rebecca again," Carmen said, needles clicking rhythmically. "They were always meant to be together." "They dated in college?" Elena asked, only half paying attention. No. They were just friends then. But everyone could see the connection. Miguel was too shy to say anything. Carmen smiled at the memory. David used to tease Miguel about it constantly. "Just ask her out already," he'd say. But Miguel waited too long. Rebecca started dating someone else, and that was that. Something in Elena went very still. David knew Rebecca in college? Oh, yes. They were all in the same friend group. David was actually the one who introduced them. I think he had a little crush on Rebecca himself back then. You know how college boys are, falling for every pretty girl? Carmen laughed, completely oblivious to the bomb she'd just dropped. But Rebecca only ever had eyes for Miguel. Even when she was dating that other boy, David used to joke that she was just waiting for Miguel to get his act together. Elena set down her coffee cup very carefully, worried her shaking hands would spill it. "When did David have a crush on Rebecca?" she asked, proud of how steady her voice sounded. Carmen waved it off. "Oh, ancient history. Freshman year, maybe? Nothing serious. Just puppy love." But Elena's mind was racing. Puppy love doesn't explain the way he looks at her now. The truth came crashing down on a Sunday in late September. Miguel and Carmen had driven to Sedona for the day, some art festival Carmen wanted to see. David had supposedly gone to play basketball with friends. Elena, exhausted and achy at 9 months pregnant, was in the nursery organizing baby clothes for the 1,000th time, trying to calm her nesting anxiety. Around noon, she heard the front door open and close. David's voice called out, "Anyone home?" Elena was about to respond when she heard lighter footsteps on the stairs. Rebecca's voice, "In the laundry room." Elena froze. David was supposed to be gone. Why was he home? And why was he looking for Rebecca? She heard him climb the stairs, heard the laundry room door open, heard Rebecca's surprised voice. "Oh, David, hi. I thought you were playing basketball. Game got canceled. Thought I'd come home and help with chores." There was a pause. Then Rebecca, her voice cooler. "That's nice, but I've got this under control. Come on, I can at least help you fold." "David." Rebecca's voice was sharp now, firm. "We need to talk about something." Elena, heart pounding, moved closer to the nursery door. She knew she shouldn't eavesdrop. She also knew she needed to hear this. "I need you to stop," Rebecca said. "The constant compliments. The way you find excuses to be around me. Offering to help with every little thing. It's inappropriate." Silence. Then David, "I'm just being friendly." "No." Rebecca cut him off. "I remember what you told me at Miguel's graduation party. What you said about your feelings. I let it go because you were drunk and emotional. But that was 7 years ago, David. You're married now. I'm married to your brother. This has to stop." Elena gripped the doorframe, her knees going weak. Elena barely made it to the nursery's rocking chair before her legs gave out. 7 years ago. David had confessed feelings for Rebecca 7 years ago, right around the time Elena had started dating him. She thought back to how they'd met. A mutual friend's barbecue. David had seemed distracted that night, kept checking his phone. "Sorry," he'd said. "Friend drama. But hey, you seem cool. Want to grab coffee sometime?" She'd been so flattered. David was cute, funny, employed. He seemed genuinely interested in her. Their first date led to a second, then a third. Within months, they were serious. Within a year, they were engaged. Had she been a rebound? A consolation prize because he couldn't have Rebecca? Elena felt sick. She pressed a hand to her swollen belly, feeling the baby kick. This child, this innocent baby, was being born into a marriage built on a lie. Every memory took on new context now. The way David never seemed quite fully present, even in their happiest moments. How he'd always been a little distant emotionally, a little hard to reach. Elena had blamed it on his personality, his natural reserve. But maybe he'd just never been all in. Maybe his heart had always been somewhere else. She thought about all. The times she'd cooked his favorite meals, planned special date nights, tried so hard to make him happy. The way she'd excused his forgetfulness, his lack of enthusiasm, his emotional unavailability. That's just how he is, she'd told herself. Not everyone is naturally affectionate. But he was affectionate with Rebecca, attentive to Rebecca. His face lit up for Rebecca in ways it had never lit up for Elena. The worst part? Elena couldn't even blame Rebecca. Rebecca had done nothing wrong. She'd married Miguel, not David. She was setting boundaries, doing everything right. David was the problem. And Elena was the collateral damage. Here's something I've learned about unrequited love. It doesn't die. It just goes dormant. Think of it like coals in a fire pit. You think the fire's out. Everything looks gray and cold, safe. But underneath there are still embers glowing, waiting. All it takes is the right conditions, a breeze, some dry kindling, and suddenly you've got flames again. That's what happened to David. For 7 years, his feelings for Rebecca had been buried under the ashes of everyday life. He'd moved on, or so he thought. He'd met Elena, fallen into comfortable affection, built a life, but those feelings never truly died. They just waited. And then Rebecca moved into his house. Suddenly, she was everywhere, making coffee in the morning, curled up on the couch watching TV at night, laughing at dinner, existing in his daily orbit in ways she never had before. Every interaction was oxygen to those dormant embers. The tragedy is that David probably didn't even recognize what was happening at first. He probably told himself he was just being helpful, just being a good brother-in-law. He probably genuinely believed that his feelings were ancient history, buried deep enough to be harmless. But Elena saw it clearly. She saw the way his body oriented toward Rebecca when she entered a room, the way his voice got softer when he spoke to her, the way he created excuses to be near her, to help her, to earn her approval. It's one of the cruelest tricks the universe can play. Putting the person you never got over right in front of you, every single day, married to someone you love, completely off limits, and expecting you to just, pretend you don't feel anything? But here's the thing, that's exactly what marriage requires. You make a commitment, and that means choosing to tend your own fire, not standing around warming your hands over someone else's. That night, after David came home from wherever he'd disappeared to after Rebecca's rejection, Elena tried to act normal. They ate dinner with Carmen and Miguel and Rebecca. Elena pushed food around her plate, smiled when she was supposed to smile, and excused herself early, claiming exhaustion. Alone in their bedroom, she stared at the ceiling and tried to figure out what to do. She could confront David, demand he acknowledge his feelings, Force him to choose between working on their marriage or letting her go. But what would that accomplish? He'd already chosen. He'd chosen to marry her, to have a child with her. His feelings for Rebecca weren't a choice. They just were. She could tell Miguel. Warn him that his brother had feelings for his wife. But that would blow up the entire family. Miguel and David would have a terrible fight. Carmen would be devastated. Rebecca would be mortified. And Elena would be the person who destroyed everything, right when she was about to bring a new baby into this already fractured situation. She could leave. Pack her bags, move back to Tucson with her mother, file for divorce. Start over as a single mom, but the thought made her want to cry. She loved David even now. She loved the life they'd built, even if it was built on unstable ground. And their baby deserved a father, or she could stay and pretend she didn't know. Swallow the truth like poison and hope it didn't kill her from the inside out. Around 2 a.m., David rolled over in bed and mumbled, "You okay?" "You're breathing weird," Elena almost laughed. After everything, he could tell when her breathing was off. He noticed that, but not her breaking heart. "I'm fine," she whispered into the darkness. "Just the baby kicking." It wasn't the baby. It was grief. Here's the twisted irony of Elena's situation. She trusted Rebecca completely, but she couldn't trust her own husband. Rebecca had done everything right. When she realized David's attention was inappropriate, she'd shut it down immediately and firmly. She'd set clear boundaries. She maintained proper distance. When David tried to help her with housework, she found polite ways to redirect him to Elena. When he complimented her cooking, she graciously thanked him and changed the subject. Rebecca was being the person Elena desperately needed her to be. Someone who respected the sanctity of Elena's marriage even when Elena's husband didn't. But David? Elena watched him like a woman defusing a bomb, trying to predict when he'd make the next wrong move. Every time he volunteered to help with something, Elena wondered if it was an excuse to be near Rebecca. Every compliment he gave felt loaded with subtext. Every time he smiled at Rebecca across the dinner table, Elena felt like she was watching her marriage die in slow motion. The pregnancy made everything worse. Elena was vulnerable, enormous, exhausted. She couldn't work, could barely walk without her back aching. She needed David to step up, to be present, to focus on their upcoming parenthood. Instead, he seemed more interested in whether Rebecca needed help hanging curtains or if she'd seen the movie he recommended. Trust, Elena realized, wasn't just about believing someone wouldn't cheat. It was about believing they chose you, fully and completely, with no reservations or regrets. It was about believing that when they said they loved you, they meant you, not the idea of you, not you as a substitute for who they really wanted. And Elena didn't believe that anymore. She didn't trust that David loved her for herself. She suspected she was just the woman who'd been available when he couldn't have Rebecca. That was a special kind of heartbreak. Here's the thing about unrequited love. It becomes mythologized. The person you never got to be with becomes perfect in your imagination, free from all the messy reality of actual relationships. David didn't know what Rebecca was like when she was grumpy in the morning, or how she handled stress, or what her annoying habits were. He only knew the polished version she presented to the family. The version that was always put together, always gracious, always appropriate. Elena couldn't compete with that. No one could compete with a fantasy. Real relationships are built on shared laundry and dirty dishes, and fights about whose turn it is to clean the bathroom. They're built on seeing someone at their absolute worst and choosing them anyway. They're built on the mundane, unglamorous work of showing up day after day. But David didn't have to do that work with Rebecca. He just got to admire her from a distance and imagine how perfect things would be if only circumstances were different. Elena understood this intellectually. But emotionally, it destroyed her. Because how do you fight a ghost? How do you prove you're worthy of love when your husband is comparing you to an idealized version of someone else? The baby was due in 3 weeks. Elena had to make a decision. Stay and try to build a life with a man who might always be looking at someone else? Or leave and face single motherhood, financial instability, and the judgment of everyone who'd ask why she couldn't make her marriage work. There was no good answer, just different versions of pain. But Elena knew one thing for certain. She deserved to be someone's first choice. Not their consolation prize, not their backup plan, their actual, genuine, wholehearted first choice. And right now, she wasn't sure David could ever give her that. If you're listening to this and recognizing yourself in Elena's story, if you're wondering whether your partner's heart is really, fully yours, I want you to know something important. You deserve more than half-hearted love. You deserve someone who chooses you, not just accepts you. Someone who lights up for you the way David lit up for Rebecca. Someone whose devotion isn't divided. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is walk away from a relationship where you're getting breadcrumbs and calling it a feast. Elena's still figuring out her path. But whatever she decides, I hope she chooses herself first. You deserve that too.